Hello my friends, greetings from Dahab in Egypt in Sinai Peninsula, and I have just arrived and seeing what's where, and it looks like it is one huge market. These all central streets in Dahab, the only thing you see here is all kinds of selling. So yeah friends, we'll see what this place will be like. Before I left Jordan this morning, Aqaba, I read a slight bit about this place and I understood that this is kind of a hippie place where all kind of alternative and hippie type people and other people who are kind of not mainstream people are gathering. Reason why I'm here are hostel prices. I wanted to stay a little bit at the Red Sea to see a little bit below the water what's going on, because above water not much is going on in this area in the Sinai Peninsula. When I read it, I first heard it there, and now when I was hitchhiking all the way from Taba to here in Dahab, I saw that really above water not much is going on. Like literally dry mountains and nothing, nothing there. But underwater they say it's very beautiful in the coral reefs. So let's see how it is, and that's the reason why I'm here, that I wanted to spend some time at seaside. And this was by far the cheapest place in Egypt where you can get stay in the hostel. There's an ATM even. That's cool. I would make a good use out of it. Okay guys, so yeah, that's the reason why I'm here, and probably for all the hippies as well, it's the reason why they're here, that it's a good price and nice seaside location, because it's really cheap here. You can find your own. Let's see I'll go back to the ATM. You can find a place starting from some 4.5-5 euros, maybe around that, and you can even find your own separate room. Well, it will be a very small room, but you can find it for something like 5.5 euros per night. It's very cheap. A separate room. But of course it's a very small room, and the big trick is, and that's a really big trick, that's my advice for you in case you come here, check carefully if the hostel has Wi-Fi, because many of them don't have Wi-Fi, and some of them have fine print, small letter print. Wow, this is beautiful. This is cool. I like it. Wow, that's cool. That's definitely cool. Yeah. The fine print, the small print was that they have paid Wi-Fi, and it costs $10 per 24 hours. How about that, guys? You book a hostel for $5 per night, and then you find out that internet costs $10 per night per day. Well, that's cool. That's how they make money, I think. People just book without looking, because normally you kind of assume that the Wi-Fi is there as a given, and then you find out no, the Wi-Fi costs twice as much as the hostel itself, and you can purchase the Wi-Fi only for 24 hours. So you can't split it for smaller segments and check your email every second day or something. You have to purchase the whole 24 hours and pay $10 for it. That's crazy. Yeah, so have to be careful. And I kind of was careful. Well, I was, but the problem is that I hope I can believe those guys because their profile said that they have free Wi-Fi. So it was clearly said. So that's why I chose them. They weren't the best, the very cheapest. They were something like 7 euros per night. So more expensive and not a separate room. But I have Wi-Fi, so I won't have to pay $10 per day for Wi-Fi. So that's my idea this far. I'll get the money from ATM, and I'll go to my hostel and see. Yeah, we'll take it from there. So friends, I thought to take you with me on a walk in Dahab. This is my street where my hostel is, and this seems to be like the very center or almost kind of a central square in Dahab. And this place is it's actually very windy today. Will you hear me at all? Like my microphone is blowing away and hitting my neck. It's really windy today. I wonder if it's worth telling you anything. Will you be able to hear me? This is how the Red Sea looks today when there's a good bit of a wind. But this is a good bit of a wind for here and waves. If I compare it what I'm used to see in Ireland, this was nothing special at all. I was going out sailing in these days and it was just normal weather. Especially in winter, I would consider it a mild weather in Irish winter. But for here I understand it's very windy, nobody is swimming and so on. I was actually swimming here. It is mid-December, well, almost end of December already, and it is so good. I still can't get my head around it, that I can go at the end of December out of my hostel in my t-shirt, and I can go and swim into the sea, and the sea is something like 24 degrees water. And that's end of December, guys. Oh, what do you think about this thing? Somebody liked old things. And ships. So yeah, I'm very, very satisfied with the weather, to tell the least. And yeah, you can see this place is very different from, that's what I started to say a while ago. This place is very different from all the rest of the Egypt which I have seen this far, because this is a typical tourist place and not a regular tourist. It's not even a fancy hotels, it's more like hippie type of people, alternative types of people. But still you can see, like, most of the people which you see on the streets, they're not Arabs, they're not Egyptians, they're not from Masr. Egypt in Arabic is Masr. Masr. Can you guess that it means Egypt? So yeah, most of the people are Europeans, Americans, some people from Asia, but not locals, not Arabs. Well, if I went further away from the seaside streets, I would probably meet a lot more locals. But this far I haven't been properly exploring the place. I have been just having my daily walks each day around the place. and this was mostly somewhere near. What do you think about this place? Is it nice? I quite enjoy it. And lots of diving happening here. Lots of diving sites, and every second, almost every hostel which you see, they also offer diving lessons and diving trips to surrounding diving sites, and to rent equipment and do the courses in PADI or whatever you call the thing for diving, and all the stuff which you can enjoy, because it really is kind of true that there is not much to see in Sinai above ground. Like here you have all the touristy places and all the tourist things, but you see, this is how Sinai looks in general. There's nothing to see there, just brownish, grayish, empty, lifeless mountains of the desert. Nothing there. All the interesting stuff is down below the surface of the water. These guys are enjoying the stuff. And when I was swimming, well, playing too, I can say. What else can you call swimming? Just having a play in the water. When I was swimming with my goggles, I actually bought goggles in Jordan, in Aqaba, since I knew I'll be spending some time around Red Sea shores. So I thought, why not? They weren't expensive at all. Just one meal's worth of money got me very nice goggles. And when I was swimming there, it was really interesting. Like, I wasn't in the deep places. I wasn't at least yet in the proper diving spots with all the coral reefs and countless fish and all the other interesting stuff. But even where I was, it was interesting. Like, there was quite a lot to see under the water. Definitely more colors and more things going on than above water. So yes, if you come to Red Sea places, I do recommend, don't look above water, look more below water. Below the surface of water will be the things which you're looking for if you want to see something interesting and beautiful. There's Quran as well, being sung, recited, played, how do you call it. And this is a small side street, how do you call it in English, which is kind of step away off the main street. I just wanted to show you that as well, that you have some bit more experience now, what do you call it, impression, how this place looks like. What is it like? This is a more typical place. It's not a touristy facade, it's like more regular stuff. But still, I believe these places are rented out for tourists, and it is not what typical Egypt would look like anyway. It is more of a tourist place, because all these villas, I think, are built for renting out on a daily basis for tourists, for people who visit this place, who want to dive under the water, or who simply just want to enjoy the sunshine in the middle of winter, of the time when there is winter in Europe. You can come here. The place is quite cheap. You can often get quite good flights as well, not too expensive. Egypt isn't ideal in terms of flight prices, but still you can get some decent priced flights, and you do have to pay for visa, but it is not expensive, $25. And if you're staying here for more than 1 week, you factor it in your whole budget. It's not a big money, because if you're staying here for a couple of weeks at least, you'll save a lot more than those $25 you spend for visa. These small vans, funny, cute, small Japanese type key vans, K-vans, how do you pronounce them? I think they're like public transport here, but I haven't figured that out yet. I was just moving around with hitchhiking, so I don't know to say for sure. And there are some friends, of course. Hey doggy! Okay guy, I won't wake you up. Or did I already? In any case, have a good day and a good sleep. And yeah, people are having some rides with horses, like all the things which tourists love to do. I just enjoy these things, friends. You see? How many are there? 1, 2, 3, let me zoom out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I saw someone else somewhere, maybe behind that. So, that's probably again a taxi, which isn't a taxi, but since it's beeping, I think he wanted to give me an offer for a best price for a ride. As if I needed it. Yeah, it feels a bit strange to be in a touristy place and to not be a proper tourist. Almost, not exactly, but almost like when I was in Paphos in Cyprus, because everything is geared towards spending big money in very short time, the shortest time possible. The biggest amount of money in the shortest time possible. Like if you work for half a year and you get vacation for 1 week, and then you have only 1 week to spend all your money, so you definitely want to enjoy the time to the fullest. So it's a very different mindset and attitude than the one which I have. And I don't say it's good or bad, or I'm better or I'm worse. It's just different. It's completely different thing. My attitude in general is to go slow, to move slowly, not to incur. Then here are different kind of friends. Meow meow friends instead of wow wow friends. Okay. So yeah, to move slowly, not to incur big expenses, and to get within my budget, which basically whole my budget including eating, transportation, accommodation, visas and all the other miscellaneous expenses, all fits within what normally would be just my rent price, the cheapest rent price in the middle of nowhere, for a terrible moldy place in the middle of nowhere in Ireland. The cheapest rent I would be paying about the same money which I'm now living, everything included, and enjoying sunshine and better weather, and I would argue as well better conditions for work, for being able to concentrate and really do something, not just slowly getting depressed in Irish winter weather conditions without any interesting and beautiful stuff around you. I'm not saying that there's no beautiful stuff in Ireland, but if you want to travel within Ireland, you have to be ready to spend the big money. Like even a bus ride, it's difficult to arrange buses because they're not so often, they're not so reliable as well. Most people use their cars, and the bus ride, it can be like 2-3 hour bus ride, and it can cost you 25 euros easily one way. Or if you have to stay, in most places it would mean that you have to reckon at least 50 euros for one night, because in many places there are no hostels, there are only B&Bs, bed and breakfast places. So you have to spend like $50 per one night. $50, come on guys, it is more than 1/3 of my whole week's budget, everything included. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm here, while trying to save my business from bankruptcy, the COVID-induced bankruptcy. We'll see if I end up successfully saving it, or it goes down the drain. But in any case, this is the best way how I can live through this time in my life and still be not too depressed. Well, to be honest, not depressed at all. It is difficult and sad at times, but not depressing. So all good, friends. No reason to complain. And especially if you can have a walk around every midday in such a weather, in the middle of winter. Soon we'll be celebrating Christmas, perhaps not here, although who knows, maybe here as well, because it's full of Western tourists who know what is Christmas, not local people who don't celebrate any Christian festivals. So yeah, we'll see. You see, there are even such things like German bakery, and I hear that many people from Western world have been coming here to Dahab and get stuck here, in a good sense of the word. They fell in love with this place, with this sense of freedom probably, and it really has a good sense of freedom here, a lot more than I see in Europe. Even in things like COVID. The last time I used mask was when? When was it? I think it was flying to Jordan. And then I spent 1 month in Jordan almost, and already quite a few days here in Egypt, and going through all the port official how do you call the places where the officials are. And the trips with buses and cars and ferry and everything, and still I have yet to find a moment when somebody will ask me to use a mask. And that is only a very small thing. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not advertising mask or anti-mask, vaccination or anti-vaccination. I won't get involved in all those kind of political debates. No need. What I'm saying is that I'm just observing how much more freedom is here. And this is only one example. And there are many such examples. You see the divers everywhere. And friends also. So, yeah, that's only one example of freedom. But of course, it is not all black and white. there are other things which you don't encounter in Europe. For example, police checkpoints every now and again on the road, which you do encounter here. Because I think of some terrorist threats, or I'll better go probably back, because there's too much wind. I don't think you'll hear me. I'm not sure. That's something a little bit like derelict. I kind of went out already of the most touristy spot. So, what I was about to say, that yes, you can, for example, encounter police checkpoints and rigorous controls and asking for bribes if you're a driver. If you don't drive, it's easy. Like for me, it's very easy. I'm very low profile. I don't have any expensive stuff hanging around me, and when I hitchhike or walk through the desert, I'm all covered with dust and clay powder, so I'm quite dirty looking as well. Literally dirty with clay powder, clay dust. And when I'm hitchhiking and when I'm walking in some checkpoint, being a hitchhiker, I never had any problems at all. Any. Literally any. Everybody always was helpful. And okay, that place, remember, where I was trying to get out the special hotel area through the wrong gate, which I didn't know, and the guy didn't let me through. That was a problem. But even then, the guy wasn't in any way intimidating or problematic. He just didn't speak my language, and I didn't quite speak his language. So the result was that it was a bit difficult to find out what's the story, where's the problem. Why doesn't he let me out to the highway where I want to go? But yeah, that was the only thing. Other than that, I have never experienced any problems with checkpoints. On the opposite, on the contrary. What is that? In Russian, the most beautiful diving. Okay. I just noticed that there is something in Russian, and I thought, well. Okay. So yeah. On the contrary, most of the. Should we go and check what's in there to show you something a little bit different? Most of the checkpoints actually helped me instead of making problems for me or asking for bribes, because I don't look as a person who has a lot of money, who is a good bribe target, and I'm not driving, so they can't tell that I'm not allowed to. Yeah, that looks like another hotel. So when you drive, for example, or ride a bike, these checkpoints often tell you that you're not allowed to take this road for no reason. Just you're not allowed. And then they are waiting for you to give them money, and then you are allowed. Like for me, it's not a problem because I'm not driving. I'm not their target. I'm just hitchhiking. So, or taking a bus. That wouldn't be a problem either. I wouldn't be any target either by taking a bus or train. I hope to take train from Cairo upstream along the Nile River later, but we'll get there, my friends. We'll get there today. So what I was about to say was that they were very helpful actually. Most of the time, these checkpoints, yes, I wanted to see my passport, but it was quick. They looked at my passport, they friendly asked about Latvia, where is such a place. Nobody knows here where is Latvia. Like, literally nobody. Western people, yes, Europeans usually know. But the locals, like I don't remember if I. No, I probably have met somebody who did know what is Latvia, but almost never. I have to explain that it's in Europe, and then Europe. Okay, we understand that thing. Europe, okay. Latvia, no clue. So they ask me about Latvia. They say welcome to this country, and yeah, so that kind of hello, marhaba. And most of the times in those checkpoints, if I had to hitch from there, because they are often in some intersections of the highways or crossing points of the roads, and I need to change cars there. So most of the times they even helped me. They either showed me where is a good spot for hitchhiking, or even in some cases they even helped me to stop a car, because they stop every car and then they just ask, do you want to take this white guy with you, this European man? He wants to go towards there and there. Do you want to take him with you? And often they agree, but it is kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it speeds up hitchhiking a lot, but on the other hand, you get picked up by the people who not exactly wanted to pick you up, which isn't ideal. Like I'm better. I'm happier to wait a bit longer, but to wait until a driver comes who really enjoys picking up hitchhikers, who enjoys the chat with a foreigner, something interesting, and then he's happy and I'm happy, and it's a win-win deal, instead of the driver being kind of forced almost in taking me with him, and then he feels like, I wanted to be alone and now I had to pick up you because the checkpoint officer told me, and I felt uneasy to what do you call it, to reject that kind asking of help. and now I have to keep you in my car, and I feel uneasy to ask you to leave. Then it's not as good, not as pleasant. Yeah, that's a small thing. But what I wanted to say was that the place, you see, in many places you can rent quads, loads of them. But yeah, they don't have enough tourists, I think, now. Most of them are just standing here instead of being rented out. But every now and again you see some guy riding them. Yeah, so in general I would say that this place feels a lot freer, a lot less restrictions and regulations than you would have in Europe, but of course it comes also with some different kind of difficulties of checkpoints, bribes, and some military presence, and maybe some possible terrorism in some parts of the place. So you have to kind of know and ask locals, is it safe to go in that region? And maybe there are some regions, especially some border regions with some problematic places, where the locals would advise you not to go, and in that case it might be clever not to go. But in my thinking, it's also part of freedom that you are able to make your own decisions. If you want, you can still go there. It's just risky. And I think freedom is always, like, other side of the coin of freedom is called responsibility. With freedom comes, I was thinking that I will be showing you something interesting there, but it looks like there's nothing exactly interesting there. So with freedom comes responsibility and danger, because if you are regulated up to your eyeballs in all kind of European regulations and restrictions, you are very safe and predictable. But you are like a wild animal who are caged in a cage, in a circus cage. You're very safe there in your cage, because no terrorist will attack you, no wolf or bear will eat you, because you are in a steel cage behind the bars. You're very safe. But the question is, what price do you pay for that kind of safety? And every person has to decide on his or her own what is their ideal balance. And I have observed that most people tend, especially in the Western world, tend to prefer safety more instead of freedom. And that's their choice. I don't judge. I'm just not one of them. I'm okay to take some risks, reasonable risks, of course, but to buy more freedom with that. But I understand also those people who don't have this urge for freedom, who don't have this need for having wings to fly with. They're okay sitting in a cage, and they're even happy to sit in a European regulation cage, as long as it gives them safety, security, predictability, what they call their standard of life, how much money they make, and what toys can they afford. Like all kind of toys which adult people are buying for money to make them happy for some time, until the toy is not new anymore, then you need a toy, and then again you're happy for 2 weeks. So all these kind of things, they prefer those things, and safety and predictability before freedom, and that's okay. I think the main takeaway from this whole idea is that if you have a possibility to choose, then it's all fine. And I mean possibility to choose between different habitats. You can choose extremely regulated, like Germany type environment, where everything works like a clockwork. Everything is perfectly predictable, safe, secure. Well, nothing is completely safe, of course, but you get my point. Everything is very civilized, safe, predictable, precise, and high living standard, but pretty much no freedom since the times of Hitler. You don't have much freedom in Germany, do you? You are regulated to from your toes to your hair. But I think the good thing is you can choose that place if you want to. If you enjoy such a life for some certain period in your life, you might want it, might need it for whatever reason, and that's okay. As long as you have a choice to go somewhere else, like here, where you have more freedom, less regulations, but more mess. Like, freedom comes with messiness as well. If you don't have many regulations, the things are not regulated, obviously, and it means messy. It means everything is all around the place, all over the shop. And not only for you, but for everyone else as well. And you can't count on things, and you can't have everything predictable, but you have freedom to move around and to do as you please, as long as you not take away some other people's freedoms. Or you can even go to some even crazier places, like, I don't know, South Sudan, for example, might be one example, where is even more freedom, where is complete Wild West situation. And I mean real Wild West, not what is today's America's Wild West. which is nowhere near as wild anymore. So yes, this was the place where I was swimming, by the way, the other day. So, and yes, as long as you have choice, I think it's nice. Like, I have a lot of negative attitude towards Soviet Union, mostly because there wasn't choice. Like, if you were born in Soviet Union, you didn't have a choice to emigrate. I know some people who tried to escape, walking through night through the forests from Russia to Finland, trying to escape, and some of them got caught and got in big trouble. But there was no normal, legal, proper way how to move outside of the Soviet Union if you didn't enjoy such a cage life. A cage life overseen by KGB. It almost rhymes. And that was my main kind of what I have against that system. Like, if you have a system, no matter how drastic and regulated and oppressive it is, but if the people have a choice to live there, and if they are there because of their choice, that's all fine. You can choose to live in a cage and feel secure, and that's fine. I don't have anything against the caged person or the person who caged that caged person. That's all good as long as it's consensual. My how do you call it? Disagreement, objection is towards a system which doesn't let you this choice. So here, for example, I feel it's very nice because if I want to live in more regulated society, I can live in Europe, and that's fine. If I want to live in more freer society, but messier, I can choose to come here, or I can even choose to go to southern Sudan, and that's also fine. I know what risks am I taking, I know what trade-offs am I making, and it's all good as long as it's consensual and what do you call it? That you are aware about the choices you are making, and then it's cool. Then what I think, then it's perfect. I don't want all the countries in the world to be free, because all those people who don't want freedom, who want safety, security, predictability and all those stuff, they will be very disappointed if I had a button to make all the world free today. No. I would make very many people feeling miserable. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't press that button. I think this is the best when you have a choice. You have different jurisdictions and you have a choice where do you want to live. But of course it isn't that black and white, because let's say these things, where in the European Union could you see that? There would be all kinds of restrictions, and let's say in Ireland, to have something like this, to dig in the ground, where people could be walking in a public area, you would have to guard it, to put signs, lights at night. You would have to make it completely enclosed so that nobody could get in there even if they wanted. You have to put warnings written, what's going on, why is it closed. You would have to do it in a certain way, according to countless regulations. And to know these regulations, you would have to, like, not everybody in Ireland, for example, would be allowed to put up these signs and barriers against possible risks for pedestrians. You must be certified. There's a special course in Ireland about lighting and guarding, I think it was called, I'm not sure. to put all the markings and lighting and the barriers and everything according to all the standards in all kind of different situations, to make sure that everything is according to standard and that no pedestrian can sue the company who was digging that hole in the ground, just in case they fell there, keeping their nose in their mobile phone, not watching under their feet, and they fell in there and broke their ankle, and they can sue the company who dig the hole. That's Europe. That's regulated society. So on one hand it's good because it's very safe. You can be a complete fool watching in your phone, not watching where you step, and you can still feel safe. Like you wouldn't have this thing here which I can trip against, yeah, because if I trip I can sue the owner of that land, whoever owns the place, or the local authority if it was under their control, the pavement. So it is, on the one hand it is kind of safe life. On the other hand, that safety brings a lot of boredom with it, because there's nothing happening in your life, there's nothing interesting, everything is so safe that you feel very soon that there is no life at all, nothing is going on in your life. So you feel like you're not living, and then you need all kind of artificial things to get some emotion out of you. You need all kind of scary whatever things, yeah, you can rent or do to get some adrenaline going because your life is too boring. You are dying out of such living. So that's one thing. And another thing, you can imagine how expensive everything becomes. Just to dig that hole which you saw there, to lay that pipe 3 meters across the road, here it costs nothing. Like you pay a guy with a spade and he'll dig it for you. And if he will be tired that day, he'll come back next day and he'll finish the digging for you. And that's it. You don't need more money. You just paid him whatever you agreed for the price for the digging, and that's it. There is no taxes, no regulations, no nothing. That's it. Very cheap. But in Europe, of course, it's very different, because you need like couple thousand worth of equipment for this thing, because everything has to be certified that it's compliant with the health and safety regulations for the worker. The spade must be certified. Most likely they won't be using the spade. There will be 3 men with a mini digger, the excavator, and whatever other tools they will need. So, and then it will obviously be a company where they have an accountant and secretary and director and all those guys who had to be fed as well. It won't be just a guy with a spade. And then they will need some, which I mentioned, yeah, the couple thousand worth of equipment for lighting and guarding. All the bells and whistles which needs to be hanged around that place to make sure that no pedestrian is able to enter and go unnoticed and fall into that hole. All these needs to be bought, and all these needs to be stored in some storehouse and transported with some special truck. And the person who is putting them on has to be a certified person who has to finish a very expensive course, certified course, how to put on these guards and lightings and signings and signage and all the stuff which is safe for pedestrians. And imagine suddenly how expensive it becomes to dig once this hole and to lay 3 meters of cable or pipe or whatever it was. It's crazy. It's not just 3 times more expensive, it's like 20-30 times more expensive suddenly. But that's the price which you pay if you want things to be regulated and in order, like it is in European Union, for example, the most heavily regulated jurisdictions in Europe. So yes, choose. What is it better for you? Quick, efficient, cheap, quick result, freedom but messy, or perfectly in order, regulated, civilized as we call often, but terribly expensive and slow. It's up to you to choose, and according to your taste you can choose the country where you spend your time in and where you pay your taxes in. Okay guys, it was quite a bit of off topic. I thought just to show you a little bit around Dahab while I'm having my daily midday walk between job in the morning and job in the evening, but I got carried away with some more philosophical and political ideas. But yeah, I was showing you Dahab at the same time, and I hope all these ideas might be useful for somebody. Huh. This is cool, isn't it? Nice. What kind of certification this thing needs? You guessed it. Nothing. You just weld 2 bars together with 15 other bars and you go. Turn your pedals and move ahead. That's all the regulation. Okay. Yeah, I hope you could possibly find this kind of thinking and ideas useful, because we experience these things but we don't often think about these things. Which place to live in, which place to pay taxes in, which place to spend your time in. Which all things doesn't have to be the same country, by the way. And if I provoked some thought and some aha moment with all this talking, I'm quite happy. And by the way, let me know if you want, if you don't mind. I'll be happy to hear that it was useful for somebody. If not, if you find this kind of thinking, that's Egyptian stuff. I could now tell you that this is very ancient, from the times when the pyramids were built. Of course. Okay, so if not, if you don't find it interesting, and if you find it boring and useless, what I'm talking about, do I have to teach you what to do? Just switch off this video, guys. There are countless other videos in YouTube. Watch those. Whatever you like. I don't want to coerce anybody in watching what I'm talking. I'm just sharing with things which I find useful and interesting for those people who also find them useful and interesting. Okay friends, I have to go back to my hostel. Yeah, today the sea is very calm. Not like the other day with the big waves. And also, you can see Saudi Arabia quite clearly. That shore, this is Bay of Aqaba of the Red Sea, and these mountains on the other side, that is Saudi Arabia. This is the roof of my hostel here in Dahab. And also, of course, we everywhere have some kind of four-legged friends as well. But look at this view, isn't this great? Amazing. So my friends, these are my last moments in Dahab, in this Egyptian town. I have now about 20 minutes to my bus and I'll be leaving for Cairo. If you want to see how that goes, I invite you to watch my other video, which I will upload after this video whenever I get time to edit it. And yeah, what do we think about Dahab? I think it's an interesting place, a bit different from everything else which I have seen. Very touristy, but at the same time not exactly expensive kind of touristy. I wonder if this might be my bus, but I still have time, I'm not sure. So yeah, this is interesting town in that way. I agree also that there is not very much to see above water in the place where we humans usually abide. That's it, you don't see much else. And of course the town itself, it's full of touristy shops, all kind of funny things or souvenirs or eye-catching things which are hanging out from every corner to be sold for tourists. Also full of all kinds of diving equipment shops and diving courses and everything connected to diving. It's very nice prices, difficult internet connection though, so at least what I have experienced, not very simple. So that's not ideal for nomads, digital nomads I mean. But other than that, I think it's a nice place. Absolutely nice weather, perfect weather. Red Sea where you can swim and dive. Quite affordable hostels. I would say very affordable even. And mixture of all kinds of interesting people from all kinds of countries in the world. Not as many Egyptian people, of course there are, but like most people which you will encounter in this town will probably not be Egyptian. But in general, it's a nice feel, it's a nice vibe in this city and town probably. So I can definitely recommend you guys, if you love sea, if you want a beach holiday in affordable place, this might be a good place to come. Okay friends, I'll go and explore what's the story with my bus, and I'll see you in some other video. I wanted to say in some other place, but probably the same place. Just we'll continue our journey from this place on. All the best my friends. Have a great remainder of your day, whatever you have at this time.